Okay, get ready because today we're going deep into the world of personal AI,
hmm
specifically a platform that's making some serious noise and it's even challenging Apple's dominance. PIN AI.
Wow,
You guys have sent us some fascinating articles about this new player,
definitely.
and it seems like they're really raising some big questions about how AI interacts with our devices, our data, and even our wallets.
It's really interesting how PNAI is launching right as Apple is going all in on on-device AI with their new Apple Intelligence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they're taking completely opposite approaches, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's like night and day, right?
Yeah.
PNI is all about open source letting users call the shots,
Uh-huh.
which is like the opposite of Apple's typical walled garden.
Right.
It seems like they're tapping into this whole wave of decentralized tech that's gaining traction.
Absolutely.
So what's the deal with this decentralized tech? What does that even mean for users like us?
Well, a key part of that is this move towards edge AI, which basically means running AI right on your device instead of relying on the cloud.
So hold on, instead of my data going off to some huge server farm, my phone or laptop is actually doing the thinking.
Yeah.
That's a massive change. What does that actually mean for everything?
Well, imagine a world where your data stays put right there on your device.
Okay.
It's a huge win for anyone worried about privacy and, you know, big tech companies knowing their every move and making a profit from it.
Right.
Edge AI brings that possibility to the table.
That makes sense for the privacy angle.
Yeah,
But can our devices actually handle all that complex AI? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not all walking around with supercomputers, right?
right. That's where it gets a bit technical.
Okay.
But the short answer is yes. Devices are only getting more powerful.
Hmm.
What PNAI is doing is pretty clever. They've designed a system where some tasks can be shifted to the cloud when needed.
Hmm.
It's like a balancing act.
Okay.
But they're aiming for this smart architecture that lets even less powerful smartphones run AI smoothly.
It sounds like they're trying to check all the boxes, privacy, accessibility, and taking on these giants.
Yeah.
But what about the AI itself? What can PimMy AI actually do?
Think of it as a platform for all kinds of specialized AI programs called agents.
Okay.
They're designed to handle specific tasks, sort of like apps, but for AI.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah?
I could have an AI agent organizing my schedule, another one writing emails, and even one composing music,
Uh-huh.
all on my phone using my data, but
Yeah.
without giving up my privacy.
That's the vision.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. Because it's an open platform, anyone can create and share these agents.
Oh, wow.
Imagine the possibilities of AI development were opened up like that.
Okay, my mind is a little blown right now.
Yeah.
How does all this work behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Is it just lines of code on my phone, or is there something more?
There's a lot of really sophisticated engineering going on under the hood.
Oh.
They're using a technique called model distillation to take large, complex AI models and shrink them down so they can run efficiently on a device.
So instead of a giant supercomputer AI, they're creating smaller, more focused versions
Yes.
that can actually fit in my pocket.
That's a good way to picture it.
Okay.
But they don't stop there.
Really?
They're also using techniques like quantization and pruning to make these models even leaner and faster,
Yeah.
so even devices with limited resources can handle them.
So the tech is impressive, but let's step back for a second.
Sure.
PAI is making bold claims about disrupting Apple and giving users more control.
Right.
But is this all just hype, or is there real potential here?
It's still early days,
I see.
but PNAI is tapping into some powerful trends.
Okay.
The demand for privacy is only growing, and edge AI is advancing rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
If they can deliver on their promises, they could really shake things up.
Okay, so we've got a platform for personal AI, this shift towards edge AI, and a potential challenge to the big players.
Yeah.
But where does the money fit into all of this?
Right.
You mentioned PNAI is taking a different approach to data and how it can be monetized.
Right. And this is where the blockchain element comes in.
Okay.
PNAI uses a system where users earn rewards for sharing their data.
Hold on, you're telling me I could actually get paid for the data that companies are currently collecting for free?
That's the idea.
Wow.
The system is designed to be transparent and secure, so users have the final say on what data they share and how it's used.
That's pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
But what about the people developing those AI agents? How did they get rewarded in this system?
PIAI is envisioning a marketplace where developers can offer their agents and potentially charge for them, similar to the App Store.
Hmm.
But with the added layer of blockchain-based monetization, it creates a whole new dynamic.
So we're not just talking about a new app here.
Right.
It sounds more like a whole new ecosystem for AI, how it's developed, how it's shared, how people make money from it. This could be huge.
It definitely has the potential to be.
Okay.
But like with any new technology, there are challenges and risks to consider.
Well, that's why we're here, right? To
Exactly.
dig deep and see what's really going on.
Yeah. So let's talk about those challenges.
Okay.
What are the potential hurdles PNAI might face?
One of the biggest questions is scalability. Can PI and AI handle a massive number of users and agents without sacrificing performance or security?
Mm.
That's a critical factor, especially if they're aiming to take on a giant like Apple.
You know, as we keep digging into this PI and AI thing,
Yeah.
it's not just about a new app or a new device.
Right.
It feels like we're talking about a whole new way of thinking about AI.
Yeah.
Who controls it, how we interact with it. It's a real paradigm shift.
It's definitely a shift away from that centralized model,
Right.
where a handful of powerful corporations are calling all the shots.
Uh-huh.
Peon AI is promoting this more decentralized approach,
Right.
where the power is distributed amongst individuals and smaller developers.
You know, it's like we're seeing this trend toward decentralization everywhere in tech right now.
Yeah.
Not just with AI, blockchain cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
the open source movement.
Right.
It's all about giving individuals more control.
Yeah. But how does Pin AI actually make this vision a reality? What are the features and capabilities that set it apart?
Well, we talked about Edge AI in part 1,
Huh?
running those AI algorithms directly on your device.
Right.
This has huge advantages for privacy, speed, and accessibility.
Right, but Edge AI isn't unique to Pin AI.
Yeah.
Other companies are exploring that too, including Apple.
Right.
What makes Pin AI's approach different?
Pin AI combines Edge AI with this really innovative blockchain-based system for data monetization.
Okay.
Plus, they've created a truly open-source development platform,
Okay.
which is a game changer.
So it's not just about where the AI runs. It's about who has control over it and how it's developed.
That's exactly right.
That's where the token-based system and the open source model come in.
Exactly. Those are the key ingredients that make Pin AI stand out from the crowd.
Okay, let's unpack those a bit. First, the token-based system.
Right.
I'm still wrapping my head around how that works in practice.
Imagine a system where you as a user can earn tokens by sharing your data with developers who are creating those AI agents.
Okay.
You then have the power to use those tokens to purchase other agents, access premium features, or even trade them on cryptocurrency exchanges.
So instead of companies taking our data and profiting from it without our consent,
Right.
this system puts the control and the potential earnings in the hands of the users.
That's the goal.
Wow. Could this really change how we value our data?
It's about transparency and giving users agency over their data,
Yeah.
what they share with whom, and for what purpose.
I see.
A complete departure from the current model, where data is basically harvested without any compensation or even a clear understanding of how it's being used.
Okay, and that brings us to the open source platform.
Right.
What makes that so unique and potentially game-changing?
Think of it like this with an open source platform. The doors are wide open for anyone to contribute to the development of PNAI. Developers have the freedom to create and share their own AI agents, expanding the possibilities of the platform far beyond what any one company could do.
So it's like an app store, but for AI.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting for developers.
Yeah.
But what does it mean for users like me?
It means that the platform is constantly evolving and expanding with new and innovative AI agents popping up all the time.
Okay.
And because it's open source, developers are free to experiment and innovate without the limitations and restrictions of a closed ecosystem.
So theoretically, the platform could grow exponentially.
Right.
Instead of being limited by a single company's vision, it's being driven by a whole community of developers. But let's get down to brass tacks. What can these AI agents actually do?
That's the beauty of the open source model. The sky's the limit.
Okay.
Think of any task you do on your devices. Now imagine an AI agent that could help you do it better, faster, or more efficiently. The possibilities are truly endless.
Give me some concrete examples.
Sure.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around what this could look like in my daily life.
Okay, let's start with something simple.
Okay.
Imagine an AI agent that manages your calendar.
Uh-huh.
It learns your preferences, schedules, meetings, sends reminders, all without ever sending your data to the cloud.
Okay.
It's all happening right there on your device, respecting your privacy.
Okay. That's super practical. I can definitely see the appeal of that. But let's get a little more ambitious.
Sure.
What else can these agents do?
How about an AI agent that helps you write better emails?
Okay.
It analyzes your writing style, suggests improvements, maybe even translates your messages into different languages.
Now that would be a game changer for me. I'm a terrible writer.
Yeah.
But those are just basic productivity tools. What about something more creative?
Imagine an AI agent that helps you learn new skills,
Yeah.
like playing a musical instrument or speaking a foreign language,
Okay.
or an agent that helps you manage your finances or even create original artwork or music. As developers get their hands on this platform, we're going to see some truly mind-blowing applications emerge.
I'm starting to see how this could be more than just a cool new app. It's a whole new way of interacting with AI, almost like having a personalized AI assistant in your pocket.
Yeah.
But PIAAI isn't operating in a vacuum.
Right.
They're entering a very competitive landscape with some powerful players already dominating the field.
Absolutely.
You've got to talk about the competition.
You're absolutely right. And as we mentioned before, Apple is one of their main targets. They've just launched their own personal AI feature, Apple Intelligence.
So how does Apple's vision for personal AI compare to what AI is doing? They both seem to be focused on this on-device approach.
Well, Apple is sticking to their classic playbook.
Okay.
They're all about tight integration within their own ecosystem, creating a smooth user experience, but only within their walled garden.
Which means you're locked into their hardware and software. No surprises there.
Yeah.
But what about their approach to data? Are they giving users more control?
While they're emphasizing privacy with their on-device processing, it's still very much a black box. They're not giving users control over their data or any way to monetize it.
So it's a much more centralized and less transparent approach compared to AI.
That's right.
I'm curious to see how Apple will respond to this challenge. Will they try to shut AI down, or will they feel the pressure to adapt and offer similar features to stay competitive?
It's hard to say. Apple is notoriously protective of its ecosystem.
Uh-huh.
But as more and more people demand control over their data, they might be forced to evolve.
Uh-huh.
The question is, will they evolve fast enough to keep up with a platform like AI that's designed from the ground up to meet these demands?
Apple is a formidable opponent,
Yeah.
but they're not the only player in the personal AI space, right?
Oh, no.
Who else should we be paying attention to?
Oh, there are definitely other contenders.
Okay.
Google, for example, has been heavily invested in AI for years.
Right.
Their Google Assistant is already a widely used personal AI, even though it's mainly cloud-based.
Right, but Google's model is all about collecting massive amounts of data to train their algorithms. That's a very different approach from AI's focus on privacy and user control.
It is, but even Google is starting to see the writing on the wall.
Okay.
They're exploring edge AI and have released tools for developers to create on-device AI experiences.
Interesting.
They're hedging their bets, trying to adapt as the AI landscape shifts.
And then there's Amazon with their Alexa platform. They've
Uh-huh.
been very aggressive in pushing into the smart home market. But again, their model seems more aligned with data collection than user empowerment.
Absolutely. It's a battle for control of our digital lives, our devices, our homes, our data, and AI is right at the heart of it.
So we've got Apple, Google, Amazon, and a whole bunch of other companies all vying for dominance in this personal AI space.
Yeah.
Where does AI fit into this increasingly crowded landscape?
Right.
What are their chances of success?
They're positioning themselves as the underdog, the champion of decentralization and user empowerment.
Uh-huh.
It's a classic David versus Goliath scenario.
I see.
But they got a few things going for them.
It's a compelling story. People love to root for the underdog.
Right.
But is that enough to make them a real threat to the tech giants?
It will depend on a few key factors.
Okay.
First, they need to gain widespread adoption.
Okay.
They need to attract a critical mass of users and developers to create a thriving ecosystem.
That means they have to deliver on their promises of privacy, speed, and accessibility.
Right.
They have to show users that this is a real alternative, not just a pipe dream.
Right. And they also need to be smart about navigating the regulatory landscape.
Oh, yeah.
The world of blockchain and crypto is still evolving,
Mm-hmm.
and governments are scrambling to figure out how to regulate it.
It's a bit of a wild west out there. It could be a huge opportunity, but it could also be a minefield.
That's a good way to put it.
So what's the bottom line? Do you think AI has what it takes to pull this off?
It's a high-stakes game with no guarantees, but the potential rewards are enormous.
Mm-hmm.
If they can create a platform that truly empowers users and disrupts the current AI landscape,
Mm-hmm.
they could spark a revolution that changes the entire tech industry.
That's what makes this so fascinating.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about a new gadget or a new app.
Right.
We're talking about a potential paradigm shift in how we interact with AI, how we think about data, even how we structure our digital lives. AI's vision is ambitious, to say the least.
Yeah.
But their impact could extend far beyond the personal AI market. They could disrupt the entire AI industry as a whole.
That's the next layer of this conversation. Their influence could go way beyond individual users and their devices.
Let's dive into that. How could PI and AI potentially shake things up in the broader AI industry?
Their core goal is to democratize AI,
Okay.
to make those powerful AI capabilities available to everyone, not just a select few companies with deep pockets.
And they believe their decentralized model is the key to achieving that.
Exactly. By building an open source platform with a built-in system for data monetization,
Uh-huh.
they're lowering the barrier to entry for AI development.
So smaller company startups, even individual developers, could have a chance to compete with the big players. That's a huge shift.
It is. It could lead to a much more diverse and innovative AI landscape,
Okay.
one that's not dominated by just a handful of corporations.
But right now, the power dynamic is pretty skewed.
Right.
A few massive companies control the AI infrastructure, the data, and ultimately the direction of the technology.
PIAI is proposing a radically different model,
Okay.
one where users are fairly compensated for their data
Uh-huh.
and developers have the freedom to innovate without being beholden to corporate interests. It's a significant departure from the status quo.
If they succeed, the implications could be huge.
Absolutely. It could accelerate the development of new AI applications and solutions
Okay.
because a far wider range of people would have access to the tools and resources they need to build them.
It's not just about shifting the power dynamic, it's about unlocking a wave of creativity and innovation
Right.
that's currently being stifled by the centralized model.
Hmm.
But disrupting an entire industry is a monumental task. What are the biggest hurdles they're going to face?
One of the first hurdles is overcoming the inertia of the current system.
Hmm.
The big tech companies have a lot to lose,
Right.
and they're not going to just roll over and surrender.
They've got the resources, the influence, and the motivation to protect their turf.
Exactly.
So P-Tine AI is going to have to be incredibly strategic and innovative to outmaneuver them.
They need to build a platform that's so compelling
Yeah.
and so user-friendly
Okay.
that people flock to it, even if it means leaving the familiar comfort of the tech giants.
And they need to convince the world that this decentralized approach is the future of AI.
Hmm.
It's a tall order, but it's not impossible. We've seen it happen before.
Think of the personal computer, the internet, the smartphone.
Uh-huh.
Each of those innovations came along and toppled seemingly invincible giants.
Each of those innovations fundamentally reshaped the technological landscape, the way we live and how we interact with the world.
And Pion AI has the potential to be the next big disruptor.
We've talked a lot about the potential upside of P-Tine AI, both for personal AI and the broader industry.
Right.
But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, it's important to acknowledge that no technology is without risks.
Of course.
This decentralized approach comes with its own set of challenges, right?
Of course. We have to be realistic about the potential downsides, even as we acknowledge the exciting possibilities.
So let's talk about some of the risks and challenges that Pion AI and the decentralized model might face.
One concern is the potential for fragmentation.
Okay.
If everyone is developing their own AI agents and platforms without any coordination, it could lead to a chaotic and incompatible mess.
Instead of this beautiful decentralized ecosystem, we end up with a bunch of isolated islands that can't communicate with each other. That would be a major setback.
Exactly. That's something Pion AI will need to address head-on.
Okay.
They need to work closely with the developer community to establish clear standards and protocols
Uh-huh.
that ensure interoperability between different agents and platforms.
They need to build a system that encourages collaboration and communication, not just individual effort. Right.
What about security?
Yeah.
That seems like a major concern with data being processed on so many different devices.
Security is absolutely crucial.
Right.
They have to guarantee the safety and privacy of user data, especially if they're asking people to trust them with sensitive information.
What steps are they taking to address that challenge?
They'll need to implement robust security measures at every level of the platform, from the devices themselves to the blockchain network that underpins the entire system.
Right.
And they can't just set it and forget it.
Okay.
They need to be constantly vigilant because the cybersecurity landscape is constantly evolving.
It's a constant arms race.
It is.
So fragmentation, security, those are two big ones.
Hmm.
Are there any other potential risks we should be thinking about?
These are all important questions to be asking,
Yeah.
especially as we venture into this uncharted territory of decentralized AI.
It's a journey into the unknown, but the potential rewards are too great to ignore. We've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
Right. We've explored the vision, the technology, the potential impact, and some of the challenges facing PIAI.
We've seen how their vision of decentralization and user empowerment could reshape the entire AI landscape.
But this is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. In part three, we're going to shift our focus to the broader landscape of decentralized AI. We'll explore some of the other players in this emerging field and dive deeper into the trends and technologies that are shaping the future of AI.
It's a complex and rapidly evolving space, but it's one that's bursting with exciting possibilities.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll continue to explore the frontiers of AI innovation.
Welcome back to the deep dive. In parts 1 and 2, we really dug into PPII and their ambitious goal of taking on Apple in the personal AI space.
We saw how their decentralized approach using edge AI and blockchain could really shift power to users and shake up the traditional AI landscape.
But Peon AI is just one player in a much bigger game. It's like they're riding this wave of interest in decentralized AI, a movement that's gaining serious traction. It's a trend that's definitely picking up speed. As people become more concerned about data privacy, the power of these huge corporations, and the ethical questions surrounding AI.
So in this final part of our deep dive, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What other players are out there pushing the boundaries of decentralized AI?
There are some really fascinating projects and companies emerging. One that stands out is Ether.
Mm.
They're building what's called a decentralized GPU cloud,
Okay.
which lets users access powerful computing resources for AI tasks without relying on those centralized providers like Amazon or Google.
So instead of these giant server farms owned by tech giants, it's like a shared network of computing power that anyone can tap into.
Precisely. And they're using blockchain to manage access payments and keep the whole network secure.
That sounds very much in line with PIAI's philosophy of decentralization taking power away from those massive corporations.
It absolutely is. Aether exemplifies this key trend we're seeing, a shift away from centralized cloud computing and towards more distributed, community-driven models.
That makes sense. If we're talking about democratizing AI, giving individuals more control, then breaking free from those big tech companies seems essential.
I completely agree. Aether's a prime example, but there are others out there pushing the boundaries in different ways.
What else is on your radar? What other projects are tackling this challenge from a different angle?
Another exciting company is Jensen. They're building a decentralized platform specifically for training AI models.
Instead of needing those massive data centers owned by Google or Facebook, they're using the combined computing power of a network of individual devices.
Exactly. They've cleverly designed a token-based system to encourage people to participate and reward those who contribute their computing resources.
That's brilliant. Not only does it create a more democratic system for developing AI, but it also taps into all this unused computing power that's just sitting there.
It's a win-win.
Oh.
And we're seeing this pattern across multiple decentralized AI projects,
Yeah.
using tokens to incentivize participation, reward contributors, and even govern the network itself.
It's like creating a whole microeconomy within the AI world where everyone has a vested interest in the system's success.
That's a great way to put it. It aligns perfectly with the principles of blockchain and decentralized finance, which are also gaining momentum.
So we've got companies like Aether and Jensen building the infrastructure for decentralized AI. But what about the AI itself? Are there specific types of AI that lend themselves better to this approach?
One area that's particularly well-suited is federated learning.
We touched on that briefly in part two, but can you break that down a bit further for us?
Sure, imagine multiple devices working together to train a shared AI model, but without actually sharing their raw data. That's the core idea behind federated learning.
So instead of sending all that data to a central server, the training happens locally on each device.
Precisely. Only the updated model parameters are exchanged between devices, not the actual data itself.
That's amazing for protecting privacy and reducing the risk of data breaches, especially as we're sharing more and more sensitive information. Exactly. It's a game changer for applications where data privacy is paramount, or where data is naturally spread across multiple locations.
Like in healthcare, for example.
Perfect example. Imagine a network of hospitals training an AI model for diagnosing a disease,
Right.
but they don't have to share their patient data with each other.
That would be a huge leap forward for both medical research and patient privacy.
Federated learning is a powerful example of how decentralized AI can address real-world challenges in a way that's both effective and ethical.
It's inspiring to see all these new possibilities opening up. So we've got this decentralized infrastructure being built, new AI algorithms emerging, and a whole ecosystem of companies pushing the boundaries. What are the core technologies making this decentralized AI revolution possible?
Well, blockchain is clearly a foundational piece of the puzzle.
It provides that secure and transparent way to manage data transactions and governance within a decentralized network,
Uh-huh.
which seems essential for this to work. Absolutely. And then there's cryptography, which is vital for ensuring the privacy and security of data, especially when it's being processed on multiple devices.
Right, because you can't have decentralization without trust, and cryptography is a big part of building that trust.
And we can't forget about the advancements in hardware.
Oh, yeah.
More powerful and energy-efficient processors are now making it possible to run these complex AI algorithms on devices like smartphones and even tiny IoT sensors.
It feels like all these different technologies are converging at the perfect time to make this decentralized AI vision a reality.
We're witnessing the birth of a new era of AI, one with so much potential.
An era where AI is no longer confined to a select few, but accessible to anyone with an idea and the drive to build it.
And where AI is used to empower individuals and communities, not just line the pockets of corporations.
That's a future worth fighting for. But as we wrap up this deep dive, it's important to acknowledge that this future isn't guaranteed, right?
Of course not. There are still significant challenges ahead, technical hurdles to overcome, social barriers to break down, and ethical questions that need careful consideration.
But as we've seen throughout our exploration, there are brilliant minds working tirelessly to address these challenges and build a better future with AI.
It's that dedication and collaborative spirit that gives me
Me
hope.
too. So as we come to the end of our deep dive into decentralized AI, what are the key takeaways for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they navigate this complex and evolving landscape?
The most important takeaway is this. The future of AI is not set in stone.
Okay.
We have the power to shape it.
We don't have to accept the status quo where a handful of powerful companies control the AI narrative.
There are alternative models, emerging models that put decentralization, privacy, and user empowerment front and center.
It's up to all of us to explore these models, to support the projects and companies pushing the boundaries, and to engage in these crucial conversations about the future of AI.
Because the choices we make today will determine the kind of AI we have tomorrow.
It's an exciting time full of potential, but it's also a time for thoughtful reflection and responsible action.
That's a great way to sum it up.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of decentralized AI.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to continue learning, exploring, and engaging with this fascinating and rapidly evolving field.
The future of AI is in our hands. Let's build something amazing together.
This is the Deep Dive signing off.